Good morning. Welcome to the home of the Calgary Unttarians, a community where we strive to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. We welcome you, whoever you are, whomever you love, and wherever you are in your journey of search or your journey of faith and search for meanings. I wasn't quite prepared this morning. My name is Carol Yankee. I use the pronouns she and her, and I have the privilege of serving as your treasurer this year. I started, I started coming to this community about 3 years ago, and I keep coming because I just really like the people. I like what we stand for, and all the learning that I've been able to do about social issues and things, a new way of thinking. Now, wherever we are, let us remember and acknowledge the traditional languages and territories of all whose ancestors were here before us. We recognize our responsibility to be stewards of this land and acknowledge that we do so in cooperation with the people of the Blackfoot Confederacy of Southern Alberta, comprised of the Siksika, the Kainai, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation Bansutina and the Nakota First Nation, also known as Stoney. Alberta's Nakota First Nation is comprised of 3 bands, the Bears Paw, Chiniki, and Wesley. Mohkinstsis, the Blackfoot word for what is now known as the city of Calgary, is also home to Métis Region of Alberta, Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. In offering a land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been her stewards and accept our shared responsibility for being good caretakers. We acknowledge that Treaty 7, signed September 22nd, 1877, was entered into as a collaboration between settlers and Indigenous people, making us all treaty people. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is leadership, my dear ones, when you just jump in and do what needs doing, even when it wasn't your turn. Thank you, Carol. We love you. Oh, it is so good to be together. It is so good to be together, even on this snowy day. I'm the Reverend Shelley Thompson. My pronouns are she and her, and I have the great privilege of being your interim minister for the next few months at least. And I am just so happy and thrilled to see us all in community together and to have our choir with us. So now's an opportunity to rise, embody our spirit, and say hi to everybody joining us on Zoom, and say hi to one another. Hi, Zoom. We love you. We miss you. Hi, everybody. Hi, Christian. Yeah, we just have to be grateful there's no other commuters but us. That's right. I know it. Yeah, we'll take it. Well, and little do they know, Jane might appear. Just saying. We'll have warning for the February 12th. We're going to tell everybody, we hope we get 100 people. It's a big draw. We're going to put it out publicly. Good morning, everyone. That's the best part, isn't it? Seeing our friends, loving on each other. Welcome, everyone. A couple of reminders for us. Next Sunday, the 29th, is that special opportunity to come and do a blanket exercise with Elder Doreen. And how many people have done one before? Oh, fantastic. It's so great as a community. And even if you have done it, it's always a good idea to try it again And you'll see how much you've learned and changed, and what that different experience will continue to do its magical work on you and transforming us all. And as we decolonize, it's going to take us a long time to get there. So we'll take all the practice we can get. And it's such a sacred, special opportunity. And especially for me, this might be the only chance I get. So I really hope I can share it with all of you if you're able to come. We are starting at 10 a.m. because it's a longer experience for us. So it's a little bit early, 10 o'clock. And we think that it'll go about 2.5 hours because there's time for everyone to participate. And Jane Perry is going to do her very best to be there with us and bring along a few of her non-Calgary Unitarians, Renaissance singers friends. So this is going to be very special. And a reminder then that February 5th is our CUC National Worship. And some of us are going to gather right here to watch that together. But that's another unusual Sunday for us that we'll remember. And then I know for a fact, all of y'all here are looking forward to our Moving Forward Town Hall. Woohoo! It's finally happening. They're providing a community lunch for us. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about that today. And a little bit of extra good news, Jane and Cora, if Jane's feeling up to it, they're going to come on over this afternoon. So we might get to see them. And if we do see Jane, I know it's so exciting and fabulous, and we're all so thrilled. We have to kind of remind ourselves of our social distancing because we haven't been doing that, right? So that's something that's really important to Jane post-chemotherapy, that we honor that space for her. And of course, Cora will body block anyone who tries to hug Jane. The force is strong with that one, and size matters not. And just know if they happen to make a discreet exit in the middle of something, don't worry, that's good self-care. They're just taking care of Jane, nothing to worry about. And we'll see them again. So there'll be another chance to talk to them if you didn't get to. And more good news on the Jane front. The plan that she has in mind, and we've collaborated with Christian on this, is that on February 12th, is a multi-gen Sunday. We're going to have a Super Sunday potluck. Sheila's going to help us with that and remember how to do those. Jane wants to come back and be our pianist again. Yay! So exciting. It's very exciting. And so Christian will continue all of his duties because Jane is just going to have to work around her treatment schedule this spring. And so Christian stays in full force as our interim music director, whom we love and adore and who's fabulous. Yay! Yay! And Jane just gets to be that value added when she's able to come and be with us. And she's going to collaborate with Christian. They're already putting their heads together with choir on cabaret. So, ooh, first time to have cabaret in what, 3 years? Oh, it's going to be so great. It's really going to be great. So that's very exciting. And we just kind of expect the place to be packed on February 12th. Spread the word. Jane's coming. Ha! So very good news, and just gladdens our hearts, doesn't it? Especially at this kind of dark time of year when it's a little snowy and cold. There's so much light and sunshine in all the love and warmth that we have for one another. I light our chalice this morning with a reading by Richard Gilbert, who starts his reading with a quote from E.B. White. It's hard to know when to respond to the seductiveness of the world and when to respond to its challenge. If the world were merely seductive, that'd be easy. If it were merely challenging, that would be no problem. But I arise in the morning torn between a desire to improve the world and a desire to enjoy the world. This makes it hard to plan the day. So Gilbert says, Richard Gilbert was one of our most thoughtful and generous of spirit ministers. He says, I rise in the morning torn between the desire to save the world or savor it, to serve life or enjoy it, to savor the sweet taste of my own joy or to share the bitter cup of my neighbor, to celebrate life with exuberant step or to struggle for the life of the heavy laden. What am I to do when the guilt at my bounty clouds the sky of my vision? when the glow which lights my everyday illumines the hurting world around me. To savor the world or save it. God of justice, if such there be, take from me the burden of my question. Let me praise my plenitude without limit. Let me cast from my eyes all troubled folk. No, you will not let me be. You will not stop my ears to the cries of the hurt and the hungry. You will not close my eyes to the sight of the afflicted. What is that you say? To save, one must serve. To savor, one must save. The one will not stand without the other. Forgive me in my preoccupation with myself, in my concern for my own life, I had forgotten. Forgive me, God of justice. Forgive me and make me whole. Let us worship together. We will be singing We Walk in Love from our Justice Songbook, with the acknowledgement that walking and standing and marching are certainly not the only ways to move through the world. So we sing in the spirit of inclusion and acceptance of every body. Every body is a good body. So please rise in body or spirit and join in singing We Walk in Love. Uh-oh. We walk in love. There it is. Up one voice, we speak the truth with strength and compassion, resounding with hope, with courage and joy. We cry for peace, hearts for all people. We welcome friends from far and near. We fight for those whose voices are silenced, resisting in faith till all are free. We dream a world of justice and kindness, build a bridge, creating new paths. We march with joy as we move together, embracing each one. We
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Sheila McMaster, Director of Religious Education here at the Calgary Unitarians, and my pronouns are she and her. And today, happy Chinese New Year, happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Yay, that's going on. So for the kids and youth today, they're going to be learning about the Lunar New Year, and they're going to be finding out what are their Lunar New Year zodiac animals. So for the Chinese New Year, it's the year of the water rabbit. And then they'll be making their animals out of Play-Doh. I had a big call for, can we have a Play-Doh day? Yeah, today is Play-Doh day. So that's going to be a lot of fun downstairs. And today we're talking about community and reaching out. And a big part of community is friendship. And sometimes it can be hard to make friends and feel included. So roll story. We have a great story today for you called The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig. All right. Story's coming. I promised AV, I'd be like, I'll pause for the story. Sometimes I'm too fast. So can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside a little too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her own way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space, but Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first, and then the best friends of the best players, and then the friends of the best friends, and then only Brian is left, still waiting and still hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and quickly looks away. We got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. Oh, the rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, says Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm glad you guys had fun, said Madison. Everybody did, except Brian, because he wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws a fire-breathing dragon scaling tall buildings, drawing, "Thank you for toasting my marshmallows." And space aliens locked in intergalactic battles. I got you now, greedy pirates digging for treasure, arg, yay! And superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. Hi, friend. Hi, have a cookie. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat food with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points to Justin's food. It's bulgogi. What? What? Justin says, it's bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I'm going to eat bulgogi. And the kids laugh, all of them except Brian. He sits there wondering what is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. It says, Justin, I thought the bulgogi looks good, says Brian. Yum. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing. Justin says, you're Brian, right? Yeah, thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Amelia calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. But by the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asked the kids to team up in 2s or 3s for a special project, and the kids scurry around the room to pair off, and Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Carlotti says we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in this photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. And Brian smiles as he takes his lucky pen. It's lunchtime again, and Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else, everyone but him. Brian, hears someone shout, hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Cookie? Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. The end. And so, as you can see, some of you might be having flashbacks to your own childhood and how hard it was to make friends. But you know what's funny is that now as an adult, it's even harder to make friends. Isn't that terrible? Right? You're like, how I had a hard time then, and now where are my friends? So I recently listened to a Mel Robbins podcast about 5 lies we tell ourselves about adult friendship and some truths to change it. So I really recommend, I've listened to it twice. It's the whole, it's an hour long. I'm just telling you the highlights to get you a little bit intrigued. So first, lie is everyone's life is a party. So some of you might go on social media and be looking, oh, these people are having a good time. Why was I not invited? And in the story, Mel Robbins is telling her husband this, and he says, well, when's the last time you invited someone over? And she was like, oh, yeah. So if you want your life to be a party, be the party. Invite people to your house, right? That's how we get started. And number two, I don't fit in, people don't like me, or people are mad at me. And this is something called the liking gap. It's psychologists at Harvard and Yale have studied this. So it means you think people like you less than they really do. So I can tell you, everybody in this room, we like you. We're happy that you're here. And when you go out into the world, everywhere you go, the first thing, try saying to yourself is, people like me here, you know? And it's true. It's true. Lie number three is BFFs, best friends forever. And the fact is, friends don't, is this me? Is this, okay, there we go. It's my hair. There we go. So best friends forever. So it's this idea that we have to be friends with someone forever. And sometimes if we are changing and outgrowing someone and we stay friends out of obligation, we just feel resentful. But instead think, okay, we're friends with people for a reason or a season. So what that means is, so a reason like at work, those are your work friends. And when you change jobs, sometimes, I know I felt this. I'm like, how come we're still not friends? We saw each other every day for 6 years. Are we not friends? No, because we were friends for a reason. Because we all worked at the same place, or we're friends for a season. So perhaps you have preschoolers and you hang out all the time, or perhaps now you're empty nesters, right? And so life changes and we're friends with people going along in the same direction as us. And when that changes, our friends change. It's not that people don't like us, it's just reason or season. So think best friends flexible, right? So as you grow, your friends are going to grow with you. So lie number four, we're not meant to be everyone's friend. That's true. Everyone's not going to like you. You're not going to like everyone. Think of yourself as a peach, the most delicious, wonderful peach. But weirdly, there's people out there who don't like peaches. My husband, Arno, doesn't like Nutella. What kind of crazy thing is that? Right? And so there's no point disguising yourself as a plum just to fit in, right? You want to be a peach, find your other peaches, make a peach pie. That's, you know, that's the truth. And how many lies is that? That's 4. Here we go. Lie number 5. I'm too busy. I'm too tired. And I know this one, it feels real. I am often too tired and too busy. I often use that one myself. And I think I missed one really good quote that she's talking about here. Hold on. Aha, here's the page. All right. So Mel Robbins posted a picture of herself snuggled in a blanket on a couch on a Friday night and said, making friends as an adult is hard because the people I get along with best also don't want to leave their house. Right? Absolutely. So, but the thing is, it's critical for us to reach out because many of us feel lonely without connection or community. So we're here, but we've also got used to being home, especially over the pandemic. The more we're in our houses, the harder it is to leave our house. I don't know if some of you have experienced this phenomenon, right? Like just getting out that door is hard now. And so the truth is we need to take action to make friends by leaning in towards our curiosity. And so there's this story that Mel Robbins shares where she drives around, she does this walk. She's been doing this walk for like 25 years, doing this circuit. And one year, she looks out and there's this field of flowers. It's just filled with flowers. It's like a flower farm. She's like, where did this even come from? Right. And she's enjoying it day after day. And one day she noticed this truck is parked there. It has this logo on the side and it's the same logo as these guys doing construction in our house. So she goes back home. She says, hey, do you know that field of flowers? And he's like, yeah, I park there all the time. And she's like, where did that come from? And he's like, oh, there's this lady in town and she, as a hobby, she plants flowers and then she sells the bulbs online. And she's like, that is so cool. And so she looks up this lady and gets her name and emails her. and just says, what a cool thing you're doing. And they get to chatting. And she says, oh, thanks. It's just a hobby, but actually I'm overwhelmed. I have some stuff going on in my personal life. And I don't think I can dig up all those dahlia bulbs that are out there. I don't know what I'm going to do. And Mel says, I'll help you. And so on a Saturday morning, Mel invites a friend, her friends invite a friend. And on a Saturday morning, 13 women show up to dig dahlia bulbs together. And they all got to get to know each other a little bit and became friends. And now they have a club called the Dynamite Dahlia Club, right? And so why is friendship so important to the work that we do or want to do out in the community? It's because that's how it starts. We have to leave our house, one. We have to lean into our curiosity and get to know people. And when we make these friendships, then we can make things happen. Right? So friendship is the start. And so if you're like, but friendship is still hard, it's supposed to be hard because listen to this. As a student, it takes 43 hours to make a casual friend and 57 hours to make a good friend. But as an adult, it takes 94 hours to make a casual friend and 164 hours to make a good friend. And you're like, what? I don't even have 194 hours, but that's how long it takes, right? And it's because when you're kids, you're in school together and you're on the same path doing the same things. But as an adult, we come together, but we're all very different, doing very different things. And so that's why it takes a little bit longer. So I want to challenge all of you this week to do a little test, to try texting a friend that you have once a day. It can be a different friend every day. Just text one friend and you be the one to just reach out to remember that your life is a party. You are liked. You are a wonderful peach with flexible friendships, and you're excited to lean into curiosity. Because in the cookie of life, friends are the chocolate chips. Now, please join me in singing Go Now in Peace as I bring the light of our own chalice downstairs to our children and youth.
Our light went out somehow. I relit it. Yes, anthem time.
No,
Thank you, choir. That was so beautiful. And now's the time when we light our candles of care and concern. We want to share with one another all of the joys, the celebrations, the good news, the cares, the anxieties, the concerns, everything that's just too important not to share. We want to be here for each other and hold this sacred space together in friendship and love. We light a candle for our joy. Jane's coming, Jane's coming. And I add to that, my dog Onyx is going to be 15 tomorrow. Soon he's going to be driving and going off to college. Yeah, that's my baby. And our concerns, our dear Susan Ridley is having knee surgery tomorrow, even though she knows there'll be a good outcome. It's no fun. And her beloved Jim will be there to take care of her during that process. And we always light a global candle because we know we're a part of the interdependent web of all existence. And our love and our kindness and compassion, our spirit of friendship and camaraderie travels all the way through that web when we have those good feelings and that idea of we love and support the world. It gets out there. It makes a difference. And now, if any of you would like to light a candle or add a pebble to our bowl, you may please come forward and do that while we sing Spirit of Life. And if you want to hold hands while you sing, that's good too. We love that song. Oh, sorry, yeah. Spirit. We are having a town hall today. Woohoo! We're going to have some practical conversations about this building. So this morning, I'm taking the opportunity as your minister to talk about the religious and spiritual context of this discernment process that's necessary to make a well-considered decision as an intentional faith community. Reflecting on the path of finding our center this month, we've talked about the path within, self-reflection, meditation, self-care. And last week we talked about the path among, the ways you collectively embody Unitarian Universalist values and principles, and how you understand your congregation as part of the larger Unitarian Universalist movement. And Sheila did a great job this morning of reminding us with her story about the within and among, how we think of ourselves and how we reach out to others. These things really matter and can very much enrich our lives. And now we're adding to those two things, among and within, the path beyond, the circles of concern that radiate outward from this place, all the ways that you show up in Calgary, and how you follow your specific callings to serve in ways that empower you to fulfill your mission within and among and beyond the wider Calgary community and the world. Callings to service with truth and reconciliation, Calgary Alliance for the Common Good, refugee sponsorship, all wonderful examples of being responsive and responsible as a part of the interdependent web that is Calgary, Mohkinstsis, now known as Treaty 7, lands. And that is the beautiful mission we know so well. Say it with me: to grow in wisdom, to welcome and deepen relationships, and to act for a just and sustainable world. This we covenant with one another. The within, the among, and the beyond are all aspects of your shared Unitarian Universalist identity, your congregational culture, and how you connect with Canadian and Calgarian culture as the religious, social, and political context of this faith community. The attention that you are paying right now to the within, the among, and the beyond is particularly important as it relates to navigating beyond this strange transitional time and moving forward into the future. So that beyond is part of the space-time continuum. It's across time and across space. We go beyond this building. So to help you reflect on what in the world does she mean, you identity? What's that? The calling of your mission? I don't think I've ever thought of it that way. So I want to share with you from one of our Tapestry of Faith curricula called What Moves Us? Unitarian Universalist Theology. And the curriculum itself is written by Reverend Dr. Tandeka, one of our beloveds. And the introduction is written by Reverend Gail Forsyth Vale, someone who's dear to me. And Reverend Gail gives us explanations of the interrelated growth and transformation processes that contribute to who we are and how we live our lives. And all of these are reasons why we participate in religious community and we strive to put our love in action. There's spiritual development, ethical development, Unitarian Universalist identity development, and faith development. They all go together. And as we hear about these, I want you to think about your own experiences in this community and how you've changed and how you've grown and been transformed by participating in this beloved community. She tells us spiritual development. In the book, Everyday Spiritual Practice, Scott Alexander defines spirituality as our relationship with the spirit of life, however we understand it. Our spirituality is our deep, reflective, and expressed response to the awe, wonder, joy, pain, and grief of being alive. Spiritual development helps us to know that we are lovable beings of infinite worth, imbued with powers of the Spirit, and called to use our gifts, talents, and potentials in the service of life. And to appreciate the value of spiritual practice as a means of deepening faith and integrating beliefs and values with everyday life. Think about your own spiritual development journey. Ethical development. When we develop our ethics, we develop our moral values, our senses of what is right and what is wrong. We also enhance our ability to act on those values, overcoming oppressions and despair. Ethical development seeks to encourage us to realize we are moral agents capable of making a difference in the lives of other people, challenging structures of social and political oppression, and promoting the health and well-being of the planet. And to accept that we are responsible for the stewardship and creative transformation of our religious heritage and our community of faith in the service of diversity, justice, and compassion. How are you feeling about your own ethical development? How are we helping each other with that? It's a hard one. Our Unitarian Universalist identity development. Participation in a Unitarian Universalist congregation does not automatically create a Unitarian Universalist identity. Personal identification with Unitarian Universalism begins when individuals start to call themselves Unitarian Universalist and truly feel a part of a Unitarian Universalist congregation or community. Identity is strengthened as individuals discover and resonate with the stories, symbols, and practices of Unitarian Universalism. Congregational engagement and participation in religious education programs, all the things we do together, teach us to affirm that we are a part of a Unitarian Universalist religious heritage and a community of faith that has value and provides resources for living. To recognize the need for community, affirming the importance of families, relationships, and connections between and among generations. And again, to accept that we are responsible for the stewardship and creative transformation of our religious heritage and community of faith in the service of diversity, justice, and compassion. Bears repeating. How connected do you feel to Unitarian Universalism? Do you consider yourself a Unitarian Universalist? Do you tell people that's who you are? What's that like for you? Faith development. When we develop in faith, we develop our heads and our hearts as a transformative way of life. We become meaning makers who live on the side of love. I like that. We become meaning makers who live on the side of love. Faith is about embracing the heart of life's transforming possibilities and growing in our sense of being at home in the universe as part of the interdependent web of life. Faith is a practice of right relationship with others that inspires trust and care. And faith has aspects that are internal and personal. It is best supported and sustained in a community with shared symbols, stories, traditions, and values. Unitarian Universalist faith development emphasizes each person's religious journey, each person's lifelong process of bringing head and heart and hands to seeking and knowing ultimate meaning as a part of beloved religious community. How does this community help you find purpose and meaning in your life and in the world around us? Thank you, Reverend Gail. Well, speaking of our rituals and traditions and head and heart and hands, that brings me to mind of one of our traditions, one of our affirmations. We teach our children the affirmation to say in worship, and hopefully some of you know it too, because it's good for all of us. And it's fun because it has hand movements. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think and hearts that love and hands that are ready to serve. Together, we care for our earth and we work for friendship and peace in our world. Yep, that's us. We're talking about identity and faith development last week too, when we were looking at Article 2, values and covenant, and those charges from the UUA board for the future of who you might want to become as a Unitarian Universalist community. And you know a lot about yourselves as a Unitarian Universalist faith community as you are now, And you know a lot about your long history too. Some of you have been here for 30 years or more of that history. It's a living tradition, right? It's a pay it forward tradition. And this building is a part of your shared Unitarian Universalist identity. This congregation has been in this location since 1968, which means that coming in September, that's the 55th anniversary. I suggest you have a party. There is a lot of history worth remembering and honoring. There is a fabulous history page, in fact, on your website, and it has all the information. There's an original 9 decades of Unitarian Universalism starting in 1911. And then there's one that's covering the more recent era between then and 2015. So we still don't have one for the past 7 years, but History and Archives, that's going to come back into play later down the road when we get more people to help with all of those fun projects. We don't want anyone trying to do that by themselves. And we thank Eric and we thank Todd for getting that up on our website and making it look so good. And to all of the people who contributed to that history and to archiving it and to putting it together for us in the first place. And I'm going to do my best. My computer's not cooperating with the printer today, but I'm going to try to print out those documents for you. So I think we should just have them up on the bulletin board in case you haven't read them. They're actually wonderful. They're fascinating. They're funny. They're very human. Not all of the stuff is good, but a lot of it really is. And most of all, it's really inspiring. There is so much that is good and right about Calgary Unitarians. And there are many aspects of congregational life that you want to keep and preserve and carry forward into the future. So much that's working, so much that's great about this place and these wonderful people. But we do know that the current challenges thrown at us, mostly by COVID, there are some things where we're a little bit stuck or that it just aren't working for us right now. Enough people to share the workload, enough people to participate and make wonderful programming, some things we want more of, right? And getting back on track really just isn't a matter of returning to business as usual. What did we used to do? We're going to carry forward the good stuff we used to do that works. But there's a lot of discernment needed about the future you envision for yourselves, how you will decide to adapt to the challenges of modern 21st century parish ministry. We know the world has changed, and to some extent, all of our congregations are facing similar challenges. So you're definitely not alone there. When we talk about reaching out to our friends, remember to reach out to the CUC and the other churches because they're your friends in this process. And transformation on this level requires spiritual discernment, ethical discernment, Unitarian Universalist discernment, and faith discernment. They're all part of developmental ministry. You're not just developing the institution, you're developing yourselves. This is the container, the matrix, in which you will undertake all of the decision-making that goes with charting a course for yourselves. And all of this big stuff, this is huge, right? Big context, it gets distilled and it becomes clear and organized into a workable strategic plan through the specific developmental ministry goals that you're going to set for yourselves with the help of your developmental minister. And you're going to establish that, a timeline and a good pace for yourselves. You're not going to get overwhelmed by the hugeness of it all. This is why we say that 3 to 7 years of work is a good start. It's going to be great though. It's exciting. And of course, one of those goals is to continue the process of deciding what to do with your home. Happily, after service today is our long-awaited town hall by the Moving Forward team. They're going to share their fabulous report with us. It's so impressive and detailed and wonderful. And we're going to explore all of the options that are the most logical and relevant to this situation. And we thank them heartily for years of hard work by so many people. Woo-hoo-hoo! So in advance of the meeting, we're going to let that meeting be all about that amazing presentation and those facts. So in advance of that meeting, I want to talk about why this is so much more than just a building issue. What are we going to do with our building? But by now you're already catching on, right? Once again, the decisions you make need to be rooted in your UU identity and take into consideration refocusing and redirecting your mission to follow the specific callings that you're talking about. That where do you really want to put your time and energy in serving that mission? That's discernment. So let's take some reflection and discernment time here together right now before we start talking about paint and buildings and boilers and things that are all very important to your mission. And we're going to look at this context first. There are no right answers, and the questions may yet be quite rhetorical, right? We don't know, but we get to live the questions together. What kind of ministry and service do you want to be doing in the near future? What does that look like? What are the things that you want to carry right on doing? Calgary Alliance, refugee sponsorship, the traditions and programs we want. Oh, fruitcakes, yeah, that's happening. We need more helpers there though, by the way. All the good stuff. Make note of it. Notice your strengths, notice your roots. Notice the things that are absolutely going to keep on keeping on here. What do you want to pursue more of? Hosting more public events? Connecting with more community partners? Maybe more family ministry? More adult RE for sure, right? What do you want more of? What, if anything, do you want less of? Being burnt out, overworking, overfunctioning, not having enough of a new growth of membership and leadership development. Tells you what you do want more of, doesn't it? What ministry might you be doing that's completely new and different? How are you going to innovate and respond to the needs of 21st century people who are crazy busy and overscheduled? What does that mean? I know you're incredibly creative and you're going to come up with great ideas. Based on your identity and your mission going forward, what kind of spaces and facilities do you need to best make those things happen? Fantasize a little bit, it's okay. We're going to be practical at the town hall, don't worry. I already have hired an imaginary architect in my head, and boy, you should see it. It's just amazing. There's so much good stuff going on there in my imagination of the wonderful community that you can have here in Calgary, whichever way you decide to do it. And you know what? It's really natural to have our buildings, our physical homes, be a big part of our identity and mission for family members. And in a way, indulge me here, the relationship between a congregation and its physical home is a little bit like a marriage. Let's think about that relationship. How compatible are your identity and your mission with your space? Does it reflect you? What part does the building play in the number of members you have and your physical growth? I noticed in the history in 1911, 150 people came to the Sunday events, and now we've got about 150 people. That's interesting. I wonder what that's got to do with the building, if anything. It's fascinating. I know there's more UUs out there than that. In what ways does this space or location really partner with you and collaborate with you? Nice central location, busy community intersections, transportation, lovely spaces, a lot of good stuff that works here. That's good partnership and collaboration. What are the challenges and limitations with this space and location as far as your mission is concerned? When we think about something like parking spaces, it sounds like we're talking about convenience and where we put our cars, but we're also talking about your capacity to fulfill your mission. If you want to host community events, parking's a part of that mission. If you want to grow in numbers, parking is a part of that goal. So even though these things have very pragmatic, real world implications, they're also about who you are and what you're doing here. How well does this building hold you and support you in all of that developmental work that we're doing? And in what ways might this building be holding you back? Are there any? And what, if anything, do you want to do about all of that? Deep questions, hard questions. Shaping the future of this congregation will be part of the focus of your developmental ministry. And it's going to require work and time and money and patience to get to measurable outcomes of some kind. But the good news is all of this puts you right smack on your path to finding your center. You're moving forward on your faith journey. Woohoo! That's good. It feels good to know that we're on the path together. And that's really the underlying best news of all. Whatever the path is, we're on it together, wherever it leads. Whoa, yeah. Now, there are just a few more things I want to say about the meeting because I want us to be able to go after lunch straight into the meeting. Today's goal is actually to inform and educate all of you about the building options that are presented in this report so that you can begin to have conversations together about which option or options you believe are in the best interest of the congregation, which is not easy by any means. And there are no hard and fast timelines for arriving at decisions. We want you to take your time. And please remember, I had to remind the moving forward team of this too. We get ahead of ourselves. It's not actually their job to tell you what to do or make recommendations or to come up with how you're going to pay for it. That's not their job. Those things come later. If you move toward an option, the board and your new minister and lots of discernment conversations, that's going to be when you figure out how to pay for whatever it is you decide to do, not now. So for now, of course, we bear in mind different options carry different levels of financial commitment. And that's a piece of the discernment. And the team did this great work for you. And they will go over the cost estimates, the real world numbers of what these options look like so that you can get a grasp on which directions you think might be best. And now the practical nuts and bolts fall into two big categories: stay, go. Sell, stay. So in and of itself, that's a huge choice and clear as mud, right? So this is why the team is going to break it down in this meeting. They looked at 7 options in these categories for you. So once again, you can try to make sense of it in a way that you can comprehend. What are we talking about? So the team is going to give us some wonderful, wonderful wisdom to begin to make this discernment process for us so that we can really work on it in meaningful ways. And they will be so thrilled to be moving forward. And now, unless you are in total harmony on the issue of stay or go, there will most likely not be a vote in May about what are we going to do, some specific option. It's probably too soon for that. As we remember, the world is a little VUCA'd up, right? It's volatile, uncertain, it's complex, and it's ambiguous right now. So we have to wait and see. But another goal today, and this is important, this is about you engaging with this and asking lots of questions. And if we know the answer, of course, we'll tell you. But if not, we're going to collect these good questions and keep them in the we're going to find out file. And we're going to continue that process of frequently asked questions and continuing to investigate, because it takes all of your good brains working hard on what did we forget? What might we need to think about? What's going to help us with this? You're all so creative and wonderful at this. So we really want that input, that feedback. And again, even if the questions are rhetorical, we want to keep those in mind. So this is all coming up after lunch. They provided lunch for us. Yay. We are so grateful to the team. We hope you stay for lunch and are going to join us in this very exciting, wonderful moving forward. Woohoo. I'm excited. It's going to be great. We thank you so much. May it be so. And now's the time we take our offering in the support, financial support of this wonderful community that lets us do all this amazing developing and discerning and being friends and working together. And our For Others partner this month is the Awotan Women's Shelter that helps people dealing with domestic violence. And because we're not going to be having regular worship next month or next Sunday, this is our last chance to be generous with Awotan as an official part of our January giving cycle. So we so appreciate your generosity of spirit, your time, your talent, and your treasure in making this place the wonderful home that it is. Ushers, please come forward.
Free to sing along if you know this one. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond a star, it's near beyond the moon. I know beyond a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just as before. Happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again I'll go sailing.
Well, dear ones, we get to have coffee hour and lunch all at once. If you're here in the hall, please join us. And if you're online, please take advantage of the time to have some coffee chat and connection and reach out to those friends online as well. That link will be posted in the chat for you. And we extinguished the words with one of my favorite musicians, Matt Meyer. If you've met Matt, he's a drummer and just a most extraordinary human being. We love Matt. He says, may we go forward in purposeful rhythm, that we may give voice to the melody of our imaginations, the music of our souls, and all the possibilities of a just world as we might together create it. And now please join me in singing, Building a New Way. Building a